That's me, really, though.
Hi, folks. Welcome. As you're coming in, please have your microphones muted and your video cameras turned off if you're not speaking, so we can keep the noise and distractions down to a minimum. Thank you all for your cooperation and your participation.
All right, I believe we're ready to get started. Good evening to each of you. I am Candace Turner. I am the Director of Home Ownership here with Maggie Walker Community Land Trust. It is my pleasure and honor to be here with you today, and we look forward to providing some information to you about our program. There will be a Q&A session throughout this session, so if you have questions, please feel free to use the chat or to come off mute occasionally during that Q&A time to ask your questions. Also, we ask or would like you to remember to keep anything really personal to yourself. This is being recorded. And our information, contact information, will be given at the end. So if you would like to reach out to me or anybody from our team when something specific and personal, you're more than welcome to do that. I would love to hear from you and answer your questions. Okay, so we'll get started. I want to let you all know of our team. We have two of our team members here today. That's Elizabeth Munyon and Flora, who you've met. And Elizabeth, since you're off mute already, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, and I just saw Leah is here as well.
Okay, great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Munyon, and I am the home purchasing coordinator with Maggie Walker. So I really help folks go through the purchasing process. So once you have a complete application and then going into your home, I assist with that amongst some other things. I'm going to pass it over to Leah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leah. I am the data analyst with Maggie Walker Community Land Trust. I'm usually the first person you connect with when you're applying. So either by phone call or email. Usually I'm helping you project manage your application, letting you know what you need along the way in order to get in contact with Elizabeth to move on to the next side. So thanks for having me tonight, and I'll pass it over to Flora.
Hi, all. I am Flora Valdez-DePena. I'm the communications coordinator for Maggie Walker CLT. I manage our Zoom and all of our events and our website and our email, social media communications as well. So just here to help out with Zoom and things. Nice to see everybody here.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for introducing yourselves. That is our team. There are a few other people that you will be introduced to today. One person on our team who is not here tonight, April Ward, who does pretty much wraparound services after you close. So if you do purchase with us, we follow you throughout your time as what we call like a family member. So once you come into the family of MWCLT, again, we don't leave you hanging. We have someone that follows you and is there to assist after you close as well. So moving forward, we want to start by giving you all some housing resources. We have Catholic Charities, credit counseling. That number and email address is there. They can help you with budgeting. They can help you pull your credit. They can also give you some tips on steps towards home ownership. Some of you may be ready. Some of you may be in the process of getting ready. Some of you may be at a place where you know you're not ready, but you want some extra pointers on how to get ready. And Catholic Charities can help you do that. In addition, we have the housing resource line, and that line will tell you some other opportunities in affordable housing that exist. Again, this will also, you'll see this at the end of this presentation as well. Next slide, please. So this is a brief synopsis of what we're going to cover tonight. We have this agenda here just for your viewing pleasure, so to speak, but we will talk about what a CLT is and how you're eligible for that. We'll talk about the benefits of purchasing through a CLT and the difference between that as well as renting. We will go over the program details, what a ground lease is, and if you choose to purchase, what the process is in selling your home. And then lastly, we will talk about how you apply and the different documents that are needed to do so. So we want to take a moment to do a poll. We want to know who's here, and you should have a poll popping up on your computer or phone. This is not a test, so please don't get anxious about this. But we're just interested in knowing who's in the room and who we can account for. So please take a moment to answer that question.
And while you are answering that, I think we have a few lenders on the call. If you all want to introduce yourselves, this would be a good opportunity to come off mute and just introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. This is Mary White with Town Bank Mortgage. I have been working with Maggie Walker and all these wonderful folks since pretty much the inception of Maggie Walker. And it's a great program, and I'm so honored to be able to work with Maggie Walker folks and with this program.
Thank you, Mary. Is anyone else on the line who want to introduce themselves?
Yeah, hey everyone, my name is Jordan Matthews. I work with Virginia Credit Union, and happy, excited to be here, and this is a wonderful opportunity for everyone and a great learning moment. So I'm here to learn and excited for the information that will be shared.
Welcome, Jordan. Let's see. Laura, how is that poll going?
Nobody has answered yet. So you should see a poll on your screen that says, tell us a little bit more about yourself, select all that apply. It is optional, but it would be fun if you wanted to participate. Or if y'all are having problems and not able to see the poll, please let me know.
I did answer.
Yes, I answered as well.
Oh, it's strange. Okay. So
Hi, I'm actually joining by phone and I can't see anything.
yeah,
so
that's fine. No worries. It's totally optional.
Thank you, everyone, for the feedback, though.
Okay.
We appreciate that. So what we'll do is if our poll isn't working, please feel free to answer in the chat or come off mute for a second and respond. But thank you all for participating. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next question. Interested in purchasing a home. I see that a couple of times. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. A lot of interest in purchasing. That's awesome to hear. Well, you've come to the right place. Hopefully we will answer questions that you may have. And just FYI, everyone, yes, we're going to talk to you about our program, the Maggie Walker Community Land Trust Program, but ultimately our goal is also to support you in your home owning journey. So if there's some information that we may be able to give you, to provide you, to help you along the way, we're more than happy to do that as well. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep the ball going. We have another question for you guys, which you can respond in the chat. So I want to know what excites you about home ownership. I saw a lot of people interested in purchasing, but what excites you? What makes you happy or excited? Privacy, good one, Crystal. Building wealth. Investment, thank you, Mackenzie. Having something to call my own. Being a part of the community I work in, great. These are great answers coming through. I saw something about health, and they're coming through kind of fast, so forgive me for not catching everything, but no more paying rent. Housing, your housing is one of the social determinants of health. So whoever mentioned that, definitely having stable housing assists us in our health, even though we're not aware of it sometimes. So the flip side of that, right? We can acknowledge that there are some things that make us excited, but also home ownership can bring up some anxiety and make us nervous or afraid. What about home ownership might make you nervous or afraid? The cost, absolutely. Down payment and maintenance. Yes. Repairs. It's a huge commitment. You're absolutely right. Okay. Thank you all for responding. Mowing the lawn, Mackenzie, absolutely. Absolutely. Flora is giving snaps for that one. Credit costs, going through the pre-qualification process. Thank you for your honesty, Rosalind. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So let's move forward and you guys can keep the responses coming. So I want to tell you a little bit more about our program. You'll see here a picture of Maggie Lena Walker. In 1903, she founded the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank right here in Richmond. And she's the first African-American woman to charter a bank in the United States and the first to serve as president of a bank in the US. So, and I know if you're from Richmond or been here for a while, you'll know that there is a monument to her right in downtown Richmond. She was very passionate about entrepreneurship and stability, intergenerational stability and generational wealth. So Maggie Walker is our namesake. We take that very seriously. And she definitely paved the way for not only Black business owners and community leaders, but also for Black women who at a time did not have a seat at the table. And as we know, were treated less than. So we're very happy to take a moment to honor our namesake, Maggie Lena Walker. I encourage you to go to her house on Lee Street and find out a little bit more about her and what she represents and what she offered to our community. Next slide, please. So we'll talk a little bit about the land trust, which is branched off into two separate entities, the land bank and then the permanently affordable home ownership program. So you probably know us through that affordable home ownership program, which we'll be talking about. But we also operate the Richmond Land Bank, which puts vacant property into strategic community uses. So think of a bank, but banking land instead of money, so to speak. Next slide, please. So what is a community land trust? Huge question. You'll be surprised, but community land trusts have been around for quite some time. The first community land trust was New Communities Incorporated, which was a grassroots movement that stemmed from citizens, Black citizens, who were sharecroppers and were kicked off of their property because they were found to be registered voters. Let that sink in for a minute, right? That wasn't too long ago. And so Black activists got together, they purchased a large farm with the intent to farm the land and own the land, right? And the homes on the land. And so this is the birthright of community land trust. It is not something new, but it actually came from a very deep place, right? And so as interest in CLTs grew and other forms of community ownership grows, it's a critical part of the affordable housing community because it's set out to close that gap, right, in Black home ownership. It also speaks to the economic and environmental justice divide. And so part of the reason that we are a CLT, is to close that gap. Next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit more about community land trusts. They are nonprofit community-based organizations, okay? They are designed to steward the land. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But the basic premise of it is to ensure long-term housing affordability. I put affordability in air quotes because we all, regardless of your income, we all are trying to afford wherever it is that we live, right? But the purpose of a CLT is to provide that long-term affordability over time. So whereas most things go up exponentially, we keep ours going with the average median income, okay? Next slide, please. So this is a brief synopsis of the process of your initial purchase through a CLT and then what that resale looks like. So when you buy a home on the conventional market, please make sure your line is muted if you don't mind. When you purchase a home on the conventional market, you're purchasing the home and of course the land. With a CLT home, you are purchasing the house at a subsidized rate and the land remains in the trust. So you're leasing the land and use it as anybody else with their land. When it's time for you to sell your home, you sell the home, but the land is never sold. That's how we keep the property affordable. The next buyer that comes behind you, when and if you do decide to sell, will need to meet the same income requirements and buys the home from you at an affordable price. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we move forward. Next slide, please. So our model is centered, as I mentioned before, on racial equity, wealth generation, community control, and collective decision-making, and long-term stewardship of both community and land. This model balances the interests of the individual with the community. So while you are purchasing the home as an individual, as I mentioned before, we look at the MWCLT as a family. So we look at things from a macro and a micro level. We are individual, but we're also a collective. Next slide, please. So let's think about and look at some of the benefits of CLT home ownership. So here you see we're looking at affordability and building wealth. So CLTs benefit homeowners in several ways. Pretty much by affordable, we mean that our houses are not fixer-uppers. All of our homes have either been recently rehabbed, and when I say recently rehabbed, I mean stripped back to the studs, right? Recently rehabbed, nothing's in there. We clear everything out and just keep the structure and rebuild. Our homes are either that or they're newly constructed, okay? The CLT also allows homeowners to build wealth over time. Their monthly mortgage payment also allows that. And the way that these homes increase in value with wages instead of market is another method that prospective homebuyers or homeowners are building their wealth. Support and assistance for the homeowner is another benefit of home ownership with us. And of course, some of the things that you all mentioned, stability, pride, that sense of belonging, that sense of ownership, and of course, getting a quality home. Okay, so our model allows us to keep our communities and neighborhoods diverse and vibrant, even as the housing prices in Richmond continue to rise. And I'm sure if you all have been on some of the online websites that sell homes, you know that those prices have risen dramatically. So without a program like the MWCLT, homes in Richmond will continue to be unaffordable. And CLTs also combat Black land loss and displacement. Again, building that community wealth and strengthening the community health and well-being. We look at these as tools to address gentrification. Next slide, please. So we'll talk a little bit more about the program eligibility. This is a very simple way of looking at our eligibility, but you must income qualify. We'll talk about that in a moment. Agree to the terms of the ground lease, be approved for a pre-qualification for a minimum of $150,000 from one of our lenders, and the lenders are listed on our website. Cannot own another home at the time of closing. And that's because, you know, our program is set up for people that are part of that gap in home ownership. So if you already own a home, that will make you ineligible for our program. And lastly, you cannot have assets more than or equivalent to 25% of the unsubsidized sales price of the home. Okay, if you have that kind of money, that will make you ineligible for our program. Next slide, please. Okay, so what you'll see here is the income requirements or income limits for the program. Where you see AMI, that stands for Area Median Income. And these numbers, we don't just set these are numbers set by HUD. And it's based on the number of people who will be living in your new home when you purchase it. Okay, so there are two income limits, 80% AMI, again, average median income, and then the 115% AMI. Okay, and so you'll see for one person at 80% is $59,750. And so if, for example, as I mentioned, this is set up by HUD. If you have a household of two people and the house you want to purchase has 80% AMI, that would be $68,250 is, you can't make any more than that. Okay, and if you have questions about that, we'll address those momentarily. Next slide, please. Here is a map of where we have homes in Richmond and vicinity. So you'll see all throughout Richmond, we are listed. And in that corner, you'll see Ettrick. Ettrick is on the line of Petersburg and Chesterfield. It's not too far from Virginia State University. That is a new subdivision that we have becoming available. We don't have any vacancies currently, but it is something that we are excited about and wanted to share that with you. Next slide, please. So we'll talk a little bit more about how the program works. Next slide. So we mentioned ground lease. So ground lease, as you see here, is a 99-year ground lease. And what a ground lease is, it's a legal document that restricts the price that the home can be resold for and ensures that the home remains affordable at least 99 years. That's intended to go beyond your life and probably that of your children. And the reason for that is, again, this purchase is fully inheritable, meaning that you can pass it down. Your home can be passed down to anyone via your will or your heirs by state law. And one of the cool things about MWCLT is that we do provide wills for all of our Maggie Walker Community Land Trust family members. So if you purchase during the time, we provide assistance with that free of charge. If your heirs choose to live in the residence full-time, they can do that. They will either continue on the current ground lease, or they may have the option of starting a new ground lease. So if they don't, if your heirs, you pass it down and your heirs do not wish to live in the house, they can sell it and get the same proceeds from the sale as they would if you would have sold it before passing away. And again, we're looking at this as something that is passed down. I know this conversation about what happens in the case of someone's death can be difficult, but these are the ways that we set up children or heirs in a way to not only provide that generational wealth, but provide well for the next generation or those that come behind us. Now that ground lease is $100 a year. Okay, so that fee is $100. You can pay the $100 in one lump sum, or it can be broken down into 4 payments throughout the year. So that the board of directors, which we'll talk about a little bit more, but the board of directors can raise the ground lease fee in a year ending in a 0 or a 5, but they are limited in how much they can increase it. And they are only allowed to increase it by the same rates as the increase in the consumer price index. Yet that rate will never go over $250 a year, and it's stayed at $100 currently. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, a moment ago, I mentioned the board of directors. We do have a board governance, and our board consists of 1/3 community members, 1/3 current homeowners, and then 1/3 public members. We stress the fact that if you do purchase through us, we strongly encourage you to participate in the board. It is a right that you have to become a board member. So we do encourage that, as we want the voices of our homeowners heard in the decision-making process. Next slide, please. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about what is unique about Community Land Trust. I know there are a lot of acronyms here, but CLT is Community Land Trust. So some of the things that make us unique. Number one, as mentioned before, it must be your primary residence. So for example, if you met someone and decided to move in with them, you would need, with them at their residence, you would need to sell your MWCLT home so that it's an opportunity for another family to benefit and to own their own home. You can't turn our homes or your home that you purchased through us into an investment property or rent it out. Again, that is so that we're not taking that opportunity from someone else who would need to use that as a primary residence. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. They are made on a case-by-case basis. And some examples include if there's military deployment or a family situation that requires you to be out of the home for an extended period of time, okay? So let's talk a little bit about renovations. Renovations must be approved. Let's talk about what those renovations are, or what renovations do not need approval. You can move into your house, you can paint, you can change hardware, you can change light fixtures, you can install shelving or hang your TV. Those are things that are well within your rights to do. You can also install a fence, and you can also install a shed as long as it's on skids. Generally, renovations that do not require a permit, you're able to do. If it does require a permit, i.e. like taking down a wall or putting up a deck, those are things that we will need to, it needs to go through our board. And that's for a few reasons. One, we want to make sure anything done to the home is done well, not only for the safety of you as an occupant, but also for future homeowners. And then secondly, we want to make sure that any renovations are at that standard, okay? And so just like, because you like to bowl, doesn't mean everyone would appreciate you converting your first floor into a bowling alley, right? So we want to make sure that whatever changes are made, that they're approved, but again, that there's something that the next homeowners would benefit from as well. Thirdly, you will build equity in your home. So you build equity through your down payment, if you have to make one, your monthly mortgage payment, and your home's increase in value, which again is based on area median income instead of the market. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. We'll take a moment for questions, but also, is Jen Cox on? Flora, do you see her?
I am.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Let me take a moment, everyone, to introduce you to Jen Cox, who's our fabulous realtor for Maggie Walker. We will take questions, but Jen, if you don't mind, can you speak a little bit to the home that our persons on this info session are seeing right now?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. This is our very first home that was developed in Carytown. So this is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath rancher style home, and it listed for $160,000. As you can see from the pictures, all of our homes come with stainless steel appliances. We have hardwood flooring, tile in the kitchen and bathrooms. And this home was fortunate enough to have a front and a back porch, and it also sits on a corner lot. So this was a very popular home. So we had a lot of interest in this home, and we were happy to close on it in February of this year.
And I don't know if you mentioned the price, Jen, but that price, did you? Okay, great.
160. Yes, in Carytown.
Unheard of, absolutely. Thank you, Jen. Are there any questions? Flora, any in the chat?
Yeah. Someone asked about privacy fences. I saw someone else answer that privacy fences are allowed. That's true. You don't have to get a permit for a privacy fence if you're not pouring concrete. Another person asked, do homeowners pay real estate taxes since they don't own the land?
Great question. So first, with the fence, as Flora mentioned, you can get a privacy fence, but we still want to know about that. So we want to know about that and know the plans for it. Although, yes, you can build the fence. The other question was about real estate taxes. So great question. You pay taxes on the home, not on the land. So when you sell, we send information to the city or county, wherever it is that you live, whichever jurisdiction that you purchase in, to let them know, hey, Mr. This and this, that, however you choose to identify, has purchased a property through us, and it is in our land trust. Once that is noted in that jurisdiction, you then do not pay taxes on the land. You only pay taxes on the home, which is great savings. So again, taxes on the house, not on the land.
Thanks, Candace.
Absolutely.
Someone asked, what if you get married and the income goes over the limit?
Good question. So if you have already purchased the home, well, first off, we do count the incomes in the household. If you get married after you have purchased the house, two things. If you get married after you purchase the house, then you're married after you purchase the house. If you are purchasing and the two of you plan on being on that mortgage, then we will still count both of your incomes, whether you're married or not.
And just to go back off that, we'll get to that next session, but after you close, we don't verify your income.
Correct.
We want you to succeed and get a promotion, build wealth. So after closing, we're not keeping tabs on your income.
Right. The only thing is that if you move in with someone, or if someone moves in with you together in the house, right, the CLT house has to be your primary residence.
Yes.
You can't
Correct.
You can't like continue owning the CLT house but live somewhere else.
Correct.
Correct.
The house has to be your primary residence.
Thank you for that clarification, Flora.
Yes, a couple other questions. Can homeowners work with their own real estate agents or must use yours?
Yes, they can work with their own realtor. However, they will be working with our realtor as well. So we encourage you to reach out to Jen Cox And let me preface that by saying also, the purchase of a CLT home is a lot different than the conventional market. And so if you do have your own realtor, please encourage your realtor to reach out to Jen Cox. She represents the CLT, she represents us. So the paths will cross anyway, but it will be good for them to get to know Jen and be a little bit more familiar with the process beforehand.
All right. Someone asked, do you choose your lot? Is it like real estate or the property can have multiple offers, or are the homes assigned? Thanks. Can I answer this one? Is that okay?
Please.
So we should be clear, this is not like Habitat for Humanity where you choose a lot and then we build a house for you. We have houses that are already built, and that's the point where we take them to the buyers. But we don't assign them to you. Each time we have a house that becomes available, we let everybody in our applicant pool know. There's no bidding process. If multiple people want the same house, we instead use a equity-focused buyer prioritization policy to pick, an offer that is the most for the person with the most need, basically. So you do choose your house, yes.
And let me, are you getting ready to go to another question, Flora? I hope I didn't cut you off.
Go ahead, no, you're fine.
Okay, let me piggyback off of that and say, here's another thing for you all to keep in mind. And I'm also pointing this to the person that asked about the real estate agent as well. And another reason why connecting with Jen Cox is vital is because we do not list our houses on the MLS. Most realtors are familiar with the MLS, meaning those websites that have the listings of homes. You won't find our homes there unless someone from our wait list is not interested in those homes. That very rarely happens. Again, I repeat, that very rarely happens, right? Because our homes are great. I'm biased, but our homes are great. So most people on our wait list are interested, and our homes typically go to someone on our wait list. So your realtor you may tell your realtor, hey, I'm interested in an MWCLT home, and your realtor may go searching. The realtor won't find it. And that's why, again, we stress making sure that you connect with Jen Cox, because there's a system that we have. That system is a system regardless of who your realtor is. And Jen Cox will be able to provide some other information outside of this info session that your realtor might benefit from on your behalf. Any other questions, Flora?
Yes.
Jen has put her info in the chat as well.
Someone asked, are there usually few houses available? Does it take longer to find a home through MWCLT versus traditional home buying?
That's a hard question to answer. Our homes become available as we build. You'll see, if you go to our website, you'll see all of the homes that have sold, right? But as you know, the market right now is so volatile. So it's really hard for me to answer that. 1 minute we may have several homes at one time, and then another minute we may have one coming available, and then kind of throughout, right? One here, one there, one here, one there, or it may be a lot at one time, which is why, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Leah will talk about the process, the application process, but this is why getting on that waiting list is important. Let me preface this when I say waiting list. I don't mean it like you're in line waiting for your number to come up. Doesn't work that way. Waiting list for us is really an applicant pool. We send out an email to say house at 123 Alphabet Street is available. You let us know if you're interested. Process starts from there. Okay, so by way of wait list, I just really mean applicant pool.
Thank you, Candace. One more question.
Okay.
In the future, after closing, can buyers own other non-MWCLT properties?
As mentioned, well, if you sell, sure. But if you're referencing, I hope I'm understanding the question correctly. If you purchase and then you're interested in another Maggie Walker home, you cannot purchase. You can't own two. You own one, it's still that primary residence. if you buy and you sell, you can definitely come back and purchase again.
I think what they mean is if you own an MWCLT house, can you then buy another house outside of MWCLT and own it at the same time?
No, your MWCLT home is your primary residence, so no.
Right,
So-
but if they live in the MWCLT house, if they keep living in there, but they buy another house and don't live in it.
Right, Flora, that's what I'm asking. Can I ever own another home if I have a non or ML or CLT home?
So like if you buy a
Yeah.
CLT house and it's your primary residence, but you also like own a house at the beach or something like
Yeah,
that.
somewhere down the road, I want to buy another house and it's not Maggie Walker Land Trust. Can I do that?
That great question. That's the first time I've been asked that question. So I will have to get back with you, Ms. Burnett, on that. I am inclined to, I'll be honest, I am inclined per how things are set up when you come in. And the reason that I'm inclined to say no, because if you can afford more than one house, and this is an affordable housing program, then that speaks to an opportunity that somebody else may not be able to get, not being available. Don't hold me to that. That's something that I will take to the board for sure. It's a great question. Like I said, I've never been asked that.
Okay.
But I will definitely, if you can email me and I'll get that response to you. And Flora, if you don't mind putting my email in the chat, but it'll show up at the end of this as well, Ms. Burnett. So let's move on.
Candace, do you want me to do this next section?
Sure.
Okay, we're switching gears a bit and going into the details of how everything works. And please feel free to keep putting questions in the chat, but we'll have multiple times during the presentation to answer many questions. You all are answering great questions tonight. So first we're going to go into how CLT home ownership compares to renting. So as you all already know, when you rent your home, you don't keep any of your rent payment when you move into a different place. And this chart simply is your monthly rent payments multiplied by 24 months and then multiplied by the number of years that you're in your home. And so for the purpose of this example, we're going to look at paying $1,200 a month in rent. And then after 5 years, you've spent $72,000 rent alone, not including anything else. And that's money that you do not get back. But with home ownership, you keep all of the equity that you earn by paying the loan principal and with your monthly mortgage payments. And we're going to go into a lot of numbers. This is an amortization schedule. And for the purpose of this example, we're going to look at a home that was purchased on January 1st, 2023. This home will sell for $180,000 with 3% down as a down payment. So we chose this example because your monthly payment would be about the same, about $1,200 for that 180 sticker price. And so after the first year, the total that you pay to the bank for your loan doesn't change. So you're going to pay the same amount every year, but what does change is what is going into your principal and what goes into interest. And so as you pay down your principal, and that's the amount that you borrowed from the bank, things start to shift so that more money goes into the principal and less into your interest. And let's see, I don't know if Mary is here. She usually answers my question, but typically, if you pay one extra payment per year, that knocks off 7 years of your loan. So it really starts to shift sooner what goes into interest and then what goes into principal. So for this example right here, we are not assuming any extra payments. This person's just paying their mortgage on time every month. But after 5 years, they've accrued $14,709 in equity just by paying their mortgage on time. And if they were going to sell at any point, the increase would be on the area median income of Richmond at that time. And this is another way of looking at that. This is just a graphic representation of how the mortgage works. So this big blue box that represents what you're paying to the bank each month for your loan. And so in year 2, most of your money is going into interest, with about a quarter of it going towards your principal. And then by year 15, if you're still paying the same amount off, about half is going into interest, the other half into principal. And then by year 25, assuming that you still have a mortgage, you didn't pay off anymore, most of your money is going towards your principal. And so this is a concept that holds true for most mortgages, not just the CLT. So far, we've only been talking about money borrowed from the bank, but another part of your payment is going to be your escrow. So as a homeowner, you have to pay for your insurance and taxes, and those are usually due every 6 months, but they can be a pretty big chunk of cash. So the bank wants to make sure that you pay your taxes and your insurance so that you don't lose your home. So instead of paying those 2 big lump sums, these payments are divided into smaller amounts monthly. And this becomes a part of your monthly mortgage payment and goes into an escrow account. And then the bank uses this escrow account to pay the insurance company and then the city or county where you live. And so this, the amount of your loan will not fluctuate over the terms of your mortgage, but the escrow can fluctuate year to year based on taxes and insurance, but it won't fluctuate as much as monthly rentals would, generally speaking. Let's see, does anyone have any questions about this? And while we're thinking of your questions, Jen, would you like to tell us about 1800 Albany?
Sure. Yes, 1800 Albany sold for $180,000. This is a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom home, and as you can see, it's a 2-story property. And one thing I would like to call out is that the home sold for $180,000, but it appraised for $330,000. So this is an example of how the CLT is able to offer affordable housing through our program by allowing the land to stay with the land trust. So removing the cost of the land and only selling the house is how we arrived at that amount of $180,000. There are some other factors, some subsidy that may be in the mix to help bring down the price of their home. But I did want to point that out. This property, just as the first one we looked at earlier in the slide, has all stainless steel appliances. Our properties also come with washer and dryers are included. And we have hardwood flooring throughout. Light fixtures are all upgraded, ceiling fans in all the rooms. And this home is about 1,400 square feet. So very beautiful home. Yeah. And that is located in our Blackwell community here in Richmond.
Yes. And I will point out too that this land came to us from the Richmond Land Bank program, which is also one of our programs. So we purchased the land and then was able to turn it into an affordable housing opportunity.
I'd also like to mention really quickly, and then we'll see if there are any questions though before we move
that's right.
forward. Yeah. Your eyes are not deceiving you. If you have been other places in Richmond, like Churchill, and you see this house, 9 times out of 10, it is a Maggie Walker house. We have this house in a few different places, but the picture, as Jen mentioned, that you see right now is of Blackwell. Questions?
Yeah, a couple of people had questions asking if we will assist with down payment or closing costs. There's others asking if grants or down payments are available.
Okay, well, we don't have grant or down payment assistance internally with Maggie Walker. Community Land Trust. We do work with other agencies that do. That's inclusive of home, housing opportunities made equal. We do encourage you, whether you use Maggie Walker Community Land Trust or not, to connect to home because they do offer down payment assistance. And we encourage you to go through their program to start preparing for that. Any other questions, Flora?
Yeah. Burnett asked what the average cost of a home and square footage, numbers of bedrooms, bathrooms are, and I can give you those statistics right now. In fact, our median sales price so far has been $165,000. That has been creeping up, obviously, as costs and other things have increased. But that's about where it was. Average square footage of our home is 1,200 square feet. We have a lot that are, we have a lot in the pipeline that are closer to 1,400, some older ones that are in the kind of 1,000 range. And most of our homes are 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with some 2-bedroom and just like a couple, 1 or 2, the rare 4-bedroom sprinkled in there. Someone asked, is the program working with prefab homes? No, we are not. We're not doing prefabricated construction. A lot of these are all traditional construction. Someone else asked, if MWCLT homeowners begin making more money after purchasing their homes, will that affect anything?
No. I believe I'm reading that question correctly. So after you have completely closed on your house, any other income will not affect anything.
Someone was talking about that in terms of the owning a second home conversation, where if you bought an MWCLT house and then later on your income increased where you were able to afford a second home, I guess that technically might be possible. We don't know. Again, we need to talk to, we don't have policy around that.
Talk to our attorneys.
We need to talk to our attorneys and stuff, but yes. Someone asked, are applicants pre-approved before a home becomes available?
Well, we'll go a little bit more into the process later in the presentation, but to be eligible for our homes, you do have to go through our application process before learning about the homes.
Yeah, I will note if we, in the rare, extremely rare, as Candace noted, event that we do post a home on the MLS, you still will have to go through the application process. Even if you find it on the MLS.
And you would still have to income qualify.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yes.
Thank you, Flora.
How do lenders determine the amount of equity if the land and house are split?
So during the appraisal process, our lenders do have a specific way of looking at our program a little bit differently. So we calculate just the house and do an assessment of the what the land would appraise for. And those are based on a variety of factors. But once we separate out the land from the equation, that's how we determine the equity that you would be receiving, or that goes into place.
Right, and the amount of equity that you earn is based on the amount of your loan. It's not necessarily directly based on the value of the house itself. It's based on it is based on the value of the house, but it's based on the amount of the loan. It's not based on the market rate appraisal of the house. Someone asked, do they look at your credit as much as regular lending?
So yes and no. There are some lenders that are looking at your profile from a more holistic perspective. There are some lenders, and I'm referencing lenders in our program, that the lowest credit score that they take is 620. Most average about 640. But again, they are looking at you as a whole. So when we talk about credit, let's think also beyond just what your credit score is. They're looking at a variety of things that I think some other traditional lenders may or may not look at as well.
And then just to go off that a bit, we do require our applicants to be pre-qualified or pre-approved for a conventional loan. So FHA loans or other loans at this time, we do not accept those. So it is a little bit more difficult to get approved for a conventional loan. But again, your loan officer can really help you through that process.
And lastly, before we move on, your loan officer should also be aware of down payment assistance programs and ways to buy down your interest, all of the things that you may be eligible for. Make sure that you're picking a lender that is aware of those things. And lastly, as we mentioned before, those lenders are listed on our website, but you want to date before you marry. So make sure that you're asking questions, your list of questions and concerns when it comes to getting your mortgage package. Make sure that you're asking that of all the lenders. I would not suggest just randomly picking one and going with it, right? So that's why I said date before you marry.
Someone asked, your lender list must be used.
So the lenders on our list have closed loans with MWCLT. As you can imagine, a community land trust property is different. Again, you're purchasing the house and not the land. And so while it's becoming more and more common, the fact of the matter is there are a lot of lenders out there that are just not familiar with that. And we have seen deals not go through because at the last minute, certain lenders that are not on our list were not aware of the process. So we strongly encourage use of the lenders on our list.
And finally, someone asked, how far off are those calculations on property value when compared to tax assessment on the property? Can I answer this one?
Yeah.
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, this is a question about how much the city or county will assess your house for taxes versus how much you can actually sell your house for. And maybe there's concern that, you can't sell your house for that much, but the city is going to tax you like crazy because it's a really nice house. But that's actually not the case. Under Virginia law, localities cannot assess your house for more than you can sell it for. And if you're in a program like ours, where the resale price of your house is restricted by a formula, the city or county cannot assess you for taxes greater than that calculated resale price. So you will be paying taxes that are consistent with the actual resale price of your home as determined by us.
Good questions, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to talk about taxes, which we've already kind of jumped into a little bit, but I just want to reiterate that because MWCLT operates as the land bank, the land is exempt from taxes. And then to piggyback on what Flora just shared, there's state legislation that says that CLT homeowners cannot be taxed on the full market value of the home. They can only be taxed on what they can sell the home for according to the ground lease. And so this is just another affordability feature that keeps the home affordable, especially in high value real estate markets, and then to the next owner. So for maintenance, you are responsible for the upkeep of your home, and those are things outside of warranty. Our homes do come with a year warranty, but after that, and just routine things in the home you will be responsible for. So broken appliances, a roof, etc. Those will be your responsibility. And then also you are responsible for upkeep of the land. So that includes mowing your lawn, taking care of dead trees, etc. even though you don't own the land, you are responsible for the upkeep of the land. And this is when we're going to go into selling your home and the resale formula. So what happens when you go to sell your home? So when you go to sell your home, you are entitled to get back your cash equity. So that's any down payment you put on the home, your earned equity. And so that's the loan principal that you paid off by making your monthly mortgage payments. And then you're also entitled to your home's increase in value. And this is based on the percentage increase in the area median income while you own your home. So this example can be a bit confusing, but I'll try and go through it slowly. So this is one of our homes in the Randolph community that I believe was actually one that did have a resale. So it appraised for $261,000, but we were able to sell it for $180,000 through subsidies. And the home, so therefore the home buyer borrowed less, they had lower monthly payments, and they had a lower down payment than they would have if they had purchased this home at that appraised value of $261. So then when you go to sell your home, we're looking at the change in the area median income over the time that you've been in that home. So the year that this home was purchased, the AMI, this is just an example, but the AMI was $83,000. And then when this home buyer went to sell their home, we estimated that the AMI is $90,200. So on average, the Richmond AMI has increased about 2% over a year, but it is rising swiftly as a result of COVID and changes in incomes in our area. But in this scenario, over the 5 years that this buyer has been in their home, the AMI has increased 8.41%, which is or $7,000. So we multiply your original sales price by 8.41%, which equals $14,580. So the equity that you walk away with would be the $14,850 that is just based on the increase in wages in the area, plus any down payment you put into your home and any principal that you have earned just by paying your monthly mortgage payment. And then I will point out that this has not been the case yet because wages are just steadily increasing in our area. But if the AMI does decrease while you're in your home, you will not be losing money. So you will still be able to sell your home for what you purchased it for. And that's a very unlikely situation, but we do get asked that frequently. So you will not incur a loss through that program. And so just as a reminder, this is our amortization schedule that we went through earlier. So this homeowner has actually accrued $16,225 just by paying their monthly mortgage payment. So when we look at total equity earned in this example, after 5 years, they have earned $16,225 just from paying their monthly payments, plus that $14,580 from the increase in the value of their home based on the wages. And then that gives us a total of $30,805 in equity. However, if a person had been renting over those same 5 years, they would have spent $72,500 in rent alone, but instead have accrued $30,805. This number is incorrect. Just change it again. So what is really unique about our program, the heart and soul of our program, is that the CLT model makes it possible for these homes to be affordable for future owners who may be in the same economic situation that you're in right now. So when you sell your home, we resell it at an affordable rate. And this is how we calculate that resale price. So we start at the original price of the house that was just sold, $180,000. And then we tack on that $14,580 from the increase in value of the home. And so the home will resell for about $194,580, and then plus some fees. But that really compared to the market, which I'm sure you all are aware of how houses are just getting so expensive these days. The resale formula is a guarantee of affordability for the future buyer. Okay, are there any questions? Oh, I'll first have Jen tell us about this home. This is 28th Street, 1608 28th Street.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. This is a, as Elizabeth mentioned, is in the Churchill area located on 28th Street, 2-bedroom, 2-bath home. This home gives a vibe of like, it's a townhouse feel, but it's a single family, as you can see, single standing home. Stainless steel appliances throughout. Check out the light fixture and the ceiling fans. Everything is totally upgraded. We have the agreeable gray paint, hardwood flooring throughout, and I believe the countertops here are also granite. So this is this house sold for $190,000. And in Churchill, the home prices are going from the mid 300s all the way up into almost $500,000. So this home in the conventional market, I don't remember what it appraised for, but I know it would have been in the 300,000s had we listed it without applying the Community Land Trust affordable housing program to it.
Thanks, Jen.
Welcome.
Do we have any questions at this point? We are going to be going right into the application process. So if you have specific questions for applying, we'll get to those really soon. But
we do have some questions. Noah asked, just to clarify, will we ever have to sell the home, or can we choose to never sell and live in it as long as we want?
You never have to sell, and then your heirs can inherit it and continue to live there and get the proceeds.
It can be in your family forever and ever if you want it to be.
Yes, but if it goes more than 100 years, you'll have to re-sign your 100-year ground lease.
Someone else asked, are these homes eligible for home equity loans in case of emergency?
Like home equity lines of credit? I believe so. I need to triple check the ground lease. I know we have a refinance clause, and this has come up a little bit, but I will research and get back to you on that.
Yeah, we have not had anyone to utilize that to date. So it is something that we're researching how to be able to provide that with that ground lease piece.
And then someone asked, any stats on how many homes have been purchased or sold since this program has been in place? We have sold 81 homes as of today?
Yesterday.
81 homes since 2017. How many resales have we had? Do you guys know?
So that's including the resales. So we have 74 actual houses, but
oh, that includes the resale.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
but it's been a handful of resales, way more original sales than resales. And let me add this, it's something I'm very excited for us about. And maybe this will also speak a little bit to whoever asked. I think there were several people that asked about down payment assistance. One of our participants literally received, make sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, 40,000. Yes, 40,000 in closing costs, which is amazing.
42,000 to be exact.
Thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
$42,000 in down payment assistance. So it's possible. That is the most we've ever seen. But again, that's why we recommend whether you utilize the MWCLT or another route towards home ownership. If your goal is home ownership and you know that you could benefit from down payment assistance, please connect to Housing Opportunities Made Equal in Virginia Housing.
Someone
I have a
asked,
question.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't put it in the chat because I couldn't join on Zoom. First of all, thank you all so much. This presentation and the program itself is amazing. I was wondering, is there a break in interest rates or mortgage rates with the lenders involved with the program?
Yes, so we have, we use the SPARK program, which is a program of Virginia Housing, and I can't remember, it's an acronym for something, but for those participating lenders, it actually reduces the interest rate by 1 full %.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I was wondering if, like the housing voucher program, is there a limit to the size of home you can get based on the number of occupants or based on your income?
No, I'll answer that. I know exactly what you're referencing, and no, we don't count heartbeats per bedroom or per room. We don't do that. It really is based on, if you remember that chart that we showed, it's based on just the income of those in the household. So no, it does not, it's not based on the amount of people that are in the house per se, but the income that's in the household.
Okay, thank you so much. And then one more question, sorry. Do we still pay for like inspections or appraisals, or is that just something with a standard home buying?
Yes, so you will still pay for those things as a part of your home buying journey.
Okay.
The last question. Absolutely. Flora, do you mind putting the buyer prioritization in the chat, please?
Yeah,
Bernadette, I'm sorry, Burnett, excuse me. Burnett, I'm answering your question, which is, do you get into multiple offer situations on properties? Sometimes we do, especially at these prices, right? So we, as mentioned earlier, do not have a first come, first serve policy. We're not based on things like that. What we use is that buyer prioritization policy when there is more than one offer on a home, and that buyer prioritization policy is in place to provide an equitable opportunity for all parties interested. And the criteria for that is on that link that Flora mentioned.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And then someone asked about what the typical interest rates are right now. If our lenders on the call would like to chime in with what kinds of interest rates you're seeing currently.
Mary or Jordan, are you on the call and can you respond to that question?
Yeah, absolutely. This is Jordan.
And before you go
Elizabeth,
further, Jordan,
yeah,
this
sorry.
is Jordan Matthews. He did introduce himself earlier, but I know someone asked about our Virginia Credit Union. So Jordan is with the Virginia Credit Union. Thank you, Jordan. Go ahead.
Thank you. As Elizabeth was mentioning earlier, we do need to keep an eye on a conventional loan option that can be through Virginia Housing. Virginia Housing does, work with the Spark funds that she was mentioning as well. Right now, Virginia Housing rates for conventional loans are in the 7.375, 7.5 range. So then if you were looking at that from the perspective of Spark, you can take a point off of that and you get into the 6.375 range. There's a home ready type of conventional loan that's out there, and it's hovering in the mid to high sixes at the moment. So we can certainly weigh those options, looking at what a Spark opportunity might do for a rate as it compares to other conventional options out there, but that is maybe just a little snapshot of things at the moment.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, we're all hoping those rates go down.
Really quickly.
Oh, yeah,
Can
go
I-
ahead.
Can I do a quick poll?
Yes.
To see, this is just a question we ask just for our own information, asking about where folks on the call are interested in living. We have homes in a lot of different areas in the Richmond region. So this is just a quick 2-question poll asking what areas you're interested in owning a home and how many bedrooms your ideal home would have. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but please do if you feel compelled. That's all.
Thanks, Flora. I am going, while you all are answering this poll, I am going to have Leah take over and talk about the application process.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. So I'm going to walk us through how to apply for a Maggie Walker home. So on this slide, you can find this on our website, and this is just a current illustration of our process. You're actually at step 1, which tonight is attending an info session. Congratulations to everyone for doing the first step. And then usually 1 through 4, it's an interesting process for everyone, depending on the order they're able to get it in. But I will review those steps on the next slide. I think I'm ready, Elizabeth.
To go to the
Yes.
lenders. This one?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. So these are just the lenders that we work with currently. We've been rocking and rolling with them for quite a while. So they've been on our team. They've been able to successfully prove that they've been able to lend to our model. So to purchase one of our homes, again, you must be approved for a conventional loan through one of these lenders. I think I'm ready for the next slide. Awesome. So this slide shows an overview of our application process. So again, congratulations to everyone for completing the first step tonight. So step 2, I encourage everyone to get out there and apply for a mortgage pre-qualification through one of our approved lenders. Your pre-qualification plus your down payment and any grants must total at least $150,000 to qualify. Again, this $150,000 is inclusive of down payment assistance or down payment that you have available, and any grant funding you might acquire in this process. Step 3 is to submit an application. So you can find this on our website, where you include your income verification documents by fax, email, or mailed in. Are fine. I think I will be able to drop our address in the chat in just a minute. So the income verification documents that we need are 3 months of your latest pay stubs or benefit statements for each household member over the age of 18. So going back to that person who's thinking about getting married, if your partner lives with you prior to you guys applying, that person will also be in your application, and their income is going to need to be verified. So we will also need 6 months of your bank statements for all accounts and all adult accounts. So investment accounts, you have a portfolio, retirement account, savings. We kind of ask to see it all, just so we have a clear picture of like what's going on. And we don't want you guys to hide anything from us, because we can be audited and we don't want to lose funding because people are being dishonest or not really understanding the full picture of why we do this program. And I don't know if I mentioned, but if your adult is over the age of 18, but they're a full-time student, you do not have to include their pay stubs or their benefit statements, because we also understand that some kids under the age of 22 still might be living at home. So their income is usually very minimal. So we do not ask that you include those, but a verification that they are in school full-time. We also need 6 months of your statements, and then two most recent federal tax returns. That usually means your W-2s and your like 1099s or 1049 documents. Schedule C if you are a self-employed. So yeah, those are just a few different things depending on your situation. Depends on what you're going to send in. And yeah, any record of assets over $5,000 also must be included. This doesn't include your car or jewelry or other valuables. But like I was saying earlier about investment accounts, portfolios, those would need to be included because if they're assets over $5,000. So then we're going to move on to just completing a HUD approved home buyer education course that can be done online or in person. Candace mentioned earlier about housing opportunities made equal. They are one of the people that are certified to host one of these courses. They are great partners with us. They send people over to us and we send people over to them all the time. So if you're from over there, shout out to you. And then Southside Community Development also does a class, and Virginia Housing. So, and that's online, self-paced. It's really easy. If you need help signing up, usually I'm around and we can set up an appointment. So after that's all the steps to completing your application. So then you'll receive a confirmation or denial email from me, usually explaining why you've been confirmed or denied. And usually denial really hinges on if you have assets over $5,000, if you're over income, if you're not mortgage ready. And if you're not mortgage ready, you're not denied. But we do try to get you in contact with people who help you get mortgage ready. And then, but if you are approved, you move into our applicant pool, which is when you get to see all the great houses that Elizabeth will forward to you. Once you're in the applicant pool, you'll receive messages via email about available Maggie Walker homes that become available through our pipeline. The applicant pool differs from our traditional wait list, as we mentioned earlier. Every applicant has the opportunity to put a contract on a home that their loan can accommodate. Let me emphasize, a home that your loan can accommodate. Unless you're able to pull some other funding through grants. Usually we only ask you to apply to homes that you can afford, because we don't want anyone to lose their home because they cannot afford it. Oh, okay. I think I'm ready for the next slide. So here are just some funding and grant opportunities that we're sharing. I'm pretty sure we share this whole presentation once you've attended one of these. So you could just click on these links, I'm pretty sure, and access like housing opportunities made equal, and the VITA Match program offered by Southside Community Development Incorporation. Like Candace mentioned earlier about asking your lender for additional grant opportunities. Great way to kind of like get ahead of the game and trying to be looking for more access to funding. When you do this, you should expect your closing day to take around 45 days, but even sometimes 60 if you take advantage of grant opportunities, because everything in bureaucracy takes a little bit longer. So you want to get that funding released to you. We want everything to go smoothly in your closing process. And I think I'm ready for the next slide. Okay, you're interested. What's your next steps? So after you leave this call, probably not tonight, but if you're into sending your email first thing in the morning, like I know some people are, I would contact one of our approved lenders for a pre-qualification letter. Usually, we try to prioritize our applicants who are mortgage ready, because those are people who are ready to go into the applicant pool. So you review our application, you can pick it up in the office, or you can access it online. Our office is at 205 North Robinson Street, Richmond, Virginia. And our website is linked up here. I hope everyone had success trying to find our website because you're here tonight. So I think everyone has. And then you collect those documents that I was mentioning earlier. So your income documents, your home buyer education certificate, and your loan pre-qualification letter. And you forward those all to me, or you fax them, you mail them in, whatever way you get them to us, we will accept them. So yeah, you complete your application and supporting documents through one of the following methods. You can scan or email them to applications@mwclt.org. That's just our acronym. You can scan the documents and fax it to this number, 804-915-8946. If you're curious if the person has received the documents, the person being me, feel free to give me a call at that same number, and just to see if I have received the documents. Or you can mail or drop off hard copies to our office, 205 North Robinson, Richmond, Virginia. And if you're looking to drop them off, usually we share our office to our land bank and I guess like housing advisor's office, but try to organize with someone on our team by contacting us via email or via phone so we can organize an appointment so someone can be there to pick up the documents for you, because we are in a hybrid working schedule. So we just want to make sure someone is there to receive them. Yeah. We have another slide after this one. So these were included in the beginning, but just in case if you missed them, Catholic Charities Credit Counseling, Commonwealth Catholic Charities Credit Counseling, their email is attached here, help@cccva.org. And then the housing resource line is also included here at www.varrva.com/housing-hotline. Phone numbers are also attached for you to get in contact with them. Usually more preferable probably at business hours. I think I'm ready to just say thank you. Thank you everyone for coming, and here's our contact info here. If you need to reach out to us, you're ready to get moving, you want to buy a house, you just need any more information, we're here.
And so thank you so much, Leah. Please, everyone, feel free to contact either one of us. Again, I'm Candace. You just heard from Leah. Flora has been our facilitator this evening, and you've heard from Elizabeth as well, and also from Jen Cox, whose information is also in the chat. Her website is jencoxrealty.com. There was one final question. How long does your application stay valid? Rosalind, once you get into that applicant pool, you're in the pool until you decide otherwise. We do periodically send out an email to ask if you're still interested. If you're not, you just respond and let us know. Once Elizabeth sends out an email to say, hey, house at 123 Alphabet Street is available. If we don't hear from you because you're not interested or for whatever reason, we don't take that as if you're not interested in the program. We just take that as if you're not interested in that particular house. So until you tell us otherwise, you remain in the applicant pool. I will say that over time, because most documents last 60 to 90 days, we will need to update that information whenever you express a desire in another property. But other than that, you'll stay in the applicant pool. Any other final questions? I know we are 2 minutes over the time that we said that we would be. Thank you for hanging in there with us. Any last questions?
I have another question on the phone.
Okay.
I thought I saw on the website that one of the qualification criteria is being the first in your family to buy a home, and be from foster care. Is that right?
It is not a requirement. It is something on our buyer prioritization policy. So there are different factors that if we have more than one person interested in a home, there are factors that we give points for people that are further away from purchasing. So it's not a requirement for the program. However, some of what you mentioned can play a role in that buyer prioritization policy.
Thank you so much. And then one more, I'm so sorry. I think it was Leah that mentioned having no more than 5,000 in assets. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
in bank accounts. But then I thought there was something else, or someone that mentioned having no more than 25% of. I don't know. I can't remember what it was.
Can I chime in?
Yes.
I thought
Sure.
it was the housing cost, but maybe I thought wrong.
Go ahead, Leah.
No worries. Just let me I just want to specify $5,000 of assets. We just need you to send over your account information and statements. So this doesn't necessarily disqualify you from being approved into our applicant pool. It just hinges on making sure you don't have too many assets. If that is more helpful, like the 25 is the cap, but if you have any assets worth over $5,000, you have to send over statements to the regarding those investments.
Yes, and we do have a asset policy internally, which I can share with you all if I can find it really quick. But basically it is a formula based on the Richmond media income and wages and whatnot. And it's really just to determine how much would be too much, I guess. And then we also have a lot of applicants that maybe are on fixed income, but happen to have assets. And so those folks would not be disqualified. So we really try and have a clear policy and then have opportunities for people in various situations. But it's really just to get documentation, but you would not be disqualified for having over $5,000 in assets. Okay, I know Flora is having some issues with our poll or the questionnaire. Do we want to try and do that or?
Yeah, it's not working.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But
And we're
that's
over.
no big, yeah, and we're over time anyway, but it's no big deal. You know,
Okay.
we just don't do it tonight.
Yes.
Well, everyone, we're so appreciative of your time, your questions. Ms. Burnett, if I am pronouncing your name correctly, please feel free to reach out to me so I can get that answer to you in regards to second, or for that matter, third, fourth, fifth properties after an initial purchase with MWCLT. That's a great question. And again, you all have our contact information. Please reach out. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Thank you,
Good night.
guys.
Bye.
Hard work.
Thanks for all the great compliments, everyone.
Great questions tonight too.
Yeah, have a great
all
night.
for
Thank you,
being
guys.
so engaged.